It just doesn't make sense. Do you honestly believe this to be the real identity of that crazy young man? Impossible. But if somehow it is true, then Umbrella will be finished.
If the old conspiracy against Dr. Marcus is revealed, Mr. Spencer's career will be over. Not to mention ours, too. So, the time has come at last.
What are you going to do?
I will simply say goodbye to Umbrella. The biological weapon utilizing the T-virus has almost been completed. Our only remaining task is to acquire combat data.
You can't be serious. I refuse to abandon my work. I have finished the research on the T-virus, but I need a little more time to complete the more powerful G-virus.
Do as you wish. I will follow my initial plan and lure the STARS members into the mansion. Their superior combat training should make them perfect test subjects.
Fine. In the meantime, something must be done about that madman. As I recall, URC is equipped with a self-destruct device in the basement. I'll find it, set it off, and annihilate the place to nothing more than a mass of rubble.
I can't. Hold on.
Well now, talk about exciting parts and starting off on the right note. Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and we gotta run away to rescue Rebecca, and that map told us absolutely nothing, and yeah, I got a bit of a head start at this point, but yeah, amusing anecdotes to follow, but yes, so many revelations in this part. Kind of exposition dump, to be perfectly honest, but yeah, if you don't save Rebecca in time and get chased down by these little flotsam of monkeys running all over the place, then yeah, Rebecca will fall, and yeah, if your partner dies, you die. So yeah, don't fuck up. I admittedly did at this point, which is the anecdote that I mentioned in the previous part. But yeah, turns out that Rebecca's just inside the next hallway through that door. But don't worry, I'm sure Billy has plenty of time to check his supplies and, I don't know, scratch his balls, play around with the creepy statues in that creepy basement. But now it's time for more plot exposition dumps and revelations, so go cutscene now.
Rebecca! Hang on. I'll pull you up.
Thank you.
Don't mention it. Just keeping my word. We promised to cooperate with each other. Remember?
This is Rebecca, over.
Rebecca, this is Enrico. Have you managed to locate Cohen yet? Over. Rebecca, answer me.
No, sir. I have not found him yet. I'll continue to search for him, over.
Rebecca.
My first mission, and I've already disobeyed orders. So much for my great law enforcement career. Oh well, I probably won't live long enough to worry about it. Billy, I just need to know. I need to know the truth. Did you kill 23 people? I'm not going to judge you. I just want to know the truth.
It was around this time last year. Our unit was ordered to Africa to intervene in a civil war. Our mission was to raid a hideout of some guerrilla forces located deep inside the jungle. But the hideout was far away from our entry point. Some died from the heat. Others were killed by the enemy. In the end, only 4 of us survived. Only, there was no guerrilla hideout.
What do you mean?
The idiots in charge had us operating based on wrong information. But we couldn't just go back home empty-handed, oh no. Our leader ordered us to attack an innocent village.
Get rid of them! Kill them all!
Please, sir! Ceasefire immediately!
Shut up! Do it!
No! Don't! Stop!
So did you execute those innocent people?
Forget about it. Doesn't matter anymore. That was then, this is now. Besides, you said you wouldn't judge me.
I'm not judging you, but it does matter. Look, now my people think you killed those MPs in the van, but I don't think you did. It was those zombie dogs, right? When they attacked the van, you were able to escape. Isn't that right?
You don't get it. I've only got two choices left. Either report to the Marines and serve out my sentence, or keep on running for as long as I can. That's all.
Well, that was, quite the tale. Thank you for that. But yeah, the plot's getting a little bit more serious, and I'd say we're at around about the halfway point of the game, maybe a little bit behind. But still, with all these serious revelations seriously going on about seriousness and seriousness, yeah, I think it's about time we had a change of costume, because after being attacked by a monkey, I think Rebecca would need some, well, more appropriate attire. Something sporty, something that's very 1996. And for those of you disappointed that I'm not showing off the rest of the costumes, I do apologise, but that's for your own playthrough. So yeah, we're choosing Stars 1996, which is pretty much what Rebecca's wearing in the cutscenes anyway, it's just that they have the sporty little headband. Except the cutscenes don't, because I guess it was considered too archaic, even though they keep them wearing like these very Vietnam War-esque flak jackets and fucking whatever else. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but anyway, onto the topic of Billy Cohen, as we're still talking about it. I'll get to Wesker and William Birkin a little bit later, but yeah, as for Billy, did he do it? Did he murder his squad? To be honest, I think on that topic I don't think he did. Given the nature of his comrades and companions, which, again, might have been down to the heat exhaustion, the fact that he slaughtered a village and everything else, I'm getting the impression that he was probably taking the blame for it for, I guess, his attempted insurrection. I mean, assuming that his comrades survived, although I guess the obvious answer is that they didn't, based on the fact that there was evidence that Billy murdered 23 people. I'm guessing the context of him and his squad, you know, butchering innocents and civilians probably didn't make it back home, or if not, that was covered up, and yeah. Because, I mean, to be honest, I think if the idea of Billy being a cold-blooded killer was going to be the case, then, you know, he probably wouldn't have helped Rebecca to begin with, went off on his own, and probably would have ditched her at the first chance she became, you know, a liability to him. Which in this case would have been when she fell down the hole, because there's been no point where Billy couldn't have done things on his own, except for, you know, going through small spaces and stuff where he otherwise couldn't have just kicked the door down or whatever. I don't know. I just don't really think that it would have been in his nature to kill 23 people, although, and I was actually talking about this with, Skully, actually, a while back, actually, in the sense that, I don't know, like, I always sort of, like, had a headcanon explanation as to why I mean, again, it could have just been heat exhaustion, you know, people dying and, you know, frayed tempers and nerves and all that, as the heaters of wont to do. But yeah, I always kind of got the impression that, again, since Billy's unit was going to Africa, you know, the same site as where the progenitor virus was found, that maybe he and his unit were under the sort of experimental T-virus kind of thing, or, because again, that was what Oswald Spencer's whole thing was, and the fact that Umbrella was technically, well, I'm not sure if it's explicitly said that they're in league with the government, but they at least, you know, had some, you know, financial hands in their pocket. Yeah, I don't know. My headcanon answer was basically that, what if Billy had T-virus power, go now? Or at least I suppose maybe some of his units came to it, because at the same time, like, I mean, what exactly was it that they were going to that, guerrilla warfare thing for? Was it to assassinate targets? why exactly did he mention them going home empty-handed? Very interesting. But again, it's never really elaborated on. I don't think they ever bring up Billy's squadron again, since he never appears in the future game, nor is there any background material related to him. At least as far as I've dug up, so I really don't know. Anyway, this is one of the few puzzles of Resident Evil 0 that I think actually have a little bit more merit to it, because again, Billy stands up in the control room to let Rebecca access different parts of the little maze area, and vice versa. It's a sort of puzzle style that actually kind of reminds me a little bit more of Primal, actually, which I've been playing rather recently. Why? Well, you'll find out soon. But yeah, it's allowing one character to access something that the other cannot, and it does so in a little bit more of an interesting way, where you're actively going back and forth to try and allow them to do things, and it's this sort of active puzzle involvement that just makes me wish that the game had a few more puzzles like this, where the characters both help each other to gain access to new areas and eventually meet up again. I mean, the game does have at least some minor examples of this, but never anything that quite reaches to the extent of this, and I don't know. I think it would have been cool to have seen the game do a little bit more of this, but yeah, we need this in order to access the water key, which will give us access to the final parts of the upstairs mansion facility, and after that, bada bing, we do the thing and we can finally get moving. It's also not too difficult of a puzzle, so again, you don't really need to worry about one gate blocking off Rebecca's escape route, because again, you can always lower one down to have one other one go up, so it's just sort of a factor of, yes, the hunters. Or the blades, if you were one for your devil-may-cry topography. Topography? That's the wrong phrase. But whatever, the hunters are back, and yeah, they're just as deadly as ever. I think they still respond to the same sort of tricks and traps they had in Resident Evil 1. Get to low enough health and they go for that decapitation attack, so watch your back. They are also pretty powerful, so keep those acid rounds handy. And yeah, this part is also very heavily edited down because there is a lot of back and forth running to get items because we don't have an item box, and you know, when you drop items in a room, you gotta run back and forth to make sure the items are nearby and okay. So it's a good thing that we have plot revelations so I can sort of waffle on over all that shit. So yeah, in the meantime, just to further talk about Billy Cohen and his life, yeah, I do kind of wish that they did expand a little bit more on Billy's time in the military, at least in regards to the mission where, you know, he came back and was pretty much just sort of accused of committing war crimes, really. It's, again, part of my brain does like to think that there was some sort of, you know, T-virus research either being done by a rival company or perhaps, you know, the government working under orders for Umbrella, and that's why they sent the military there. I guess maybe because they didn't want a foreign power getting their hands on the flower that produced the progenitor virus, but sadly we just don't get anything of the sort. Which is a bit of a shame though, because I mean I think it really could have gone out of its way to really sort of help flesh out the game a little bit more, and in turn also shown that Umbrella isn't the only company out there that's, you know, trying to make bank on specific viruses, which again I think would have been a nice tie to eventually lead to the whole BSAA thing from, you know, the post-Resident Evil 4 world and, you know, all that kind of thing. And yes, because we have a full stockade of items for both Billy and Rebecca, we can't get any stuff, so yeah, we're gonna be going back to these rooms and getting all the keys and items that are used to unlock the locker to get the handgun parts, to hop on the log on the frog, jumping over the house that Jack built. Which has become an all-too-common phrase for this commentary, but again, it really is what playing Resident Evil 0 was like. It's classic Resident Evil, you're having fun, you're playing the game, but oh, no item space, don't worry, I'll put it in the item box. Oh... And then you gotta stop, do a bit of backtracking, put your items down, do a thing, do a dance, twirl around, not upwards, not backwards, not forwards, not sidewards, not like the Essendon Bombers that go up to win the Premiership flag. And I'm only really saying that because Essendon won their game against the Adelaide Crows today, which is why I'm in a bit more of a chipper mood than I would otherwise usually be, so go team. By the way, interesting little anecdote here, because, well, you know, back when I first played the game as Billy, and I don't know why you may are doing... I'd started with Cliff Clavin, and then it wound up being a fucking JFK station. Whatever, but yeah, this little puzzle right here, To solve it, it's basically a matter of finding which one first, and your key to it lighting up all these little animal pies is pretty much the same sort of contextual clue. Like, again, like, yes, I am a bird, swift as the wind, no four-legged beast can catch me, so on and so forth that relate to each of these animals. The hardest bit is finding the first one, in my opinion, and after that, it's pretty much smooth sailing. Now then, as to the funny anecdote, yeah, you'll remember back when Rebecca was at threat of falling and, dying. Well, yeah, I got a little bit lost. I killed all the monkeys, Rebecca was panicking, asking for Billy's help, and I thought the way that I had to go on my first playthrough was through the locked door that required you to light up all these little pylons. So here was me trying to solve the puzzle, panicking and afraid mind, having no idea which animal was first or what I was supposed to do, and, yeah, Rebecca died because Billy was too busy solving a puzzle. So here she was, crying for Billy's help, and Billy was like, "Hold on, Rebecca, I gotta solve this puzzle." Oh yes, the fine stone craftsmanship. What is it saying to me? Rebecca? You died, game over. Use a yellow orb to continue. Which, whatever. Different univoice, or possibly not, because they confirm the existence of Mega Man not just in Devil May Cry 5, where Nico confirms that Mega Man is in fact a superhero in that timeline, but in turn also Resident Evil. The remakes actually include Mega Man, not just as, like, the bad box art toy Mega Man that you see in the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes, but in turn also, like, the actual scientist Dr. Light and Dr. Wily exist talking about robotics, so that's a crossover I kind of want to see. Yes, indeedy. But yeah, that was my interesting anecdote. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. Yes, as for anything else this part, our primary motivation at this point, since we've saved Rebecca and learned all that we need to know, is basically getting the proof so we can exit through the door and get to the next part of the game. And, of course, as you'd expect, since I'm all full of items, yeah, I can't carry stuff anymore. Now, as you can see, this is where the heavy editing comes in. So yeah, nothing really to say on that matter. Rebecca's costume, actually, does a pretty good job. I do wonder why they went out of their way to change her costume specifically. I mean, they did add, like, a few more belts and whatever to her outfit and remove the bandana for some reason, but again, they let Joseph keep his, so it's really just kind of a baffling design choice. I mean, one of the original ideas from the N64 version of Resident Evil 0 was that Rebecca initially would have had a beret similar to Jill because, I don't know, I guess STARS police women just wear military berets for some reason. But yeah, the idea is that she would have lost it at the end of Resident Evil 0, and then come Resident Evil 1, it would have been like, oh, so that's why she has the bandana. Even though Jill didn't have a bandana, so maybe that means that Jill didn't have infinite ammo. Metal Gear, which has made a surprising comeback in recent years, because of the HD collection and the Snake Eater remake. Because fuck it, why not? They could have started with the MSX games, but they didn't. Oh no. But yes, this is our 4-itchy tasty diary with now. It's like, oh no, I'm scared, Dennis gone, hungry, help mom. So yeah, that's pretty much all we need to know about that. I suppose now it's apropos to talk about William Birkin and Albert Wesker. Yeah, we finally get to learn the reason why Rebecca Rebecca? No, she's not evil. Or is she? No, we finally get to learn the reason why Wesker betrayed Umbrella to begin with. It wasn't because, he was feeling like a bit of a shit or was scummy for money. No, it's because Oswald Spencer's career was pretty much up shit creek and he had to use his tongue as a paddle, and they decided to go their separate ways. Birkin obviously doing the whole G-Virus thing, which Resident Evil 2 covered, which we've already covered on this channel. Check out that playthrough to give me more cash, money, and drugs, which I played for the Dreamcast, and then I can use it to snort all the cocaine. And of course, Wesker, his primary reason for leaving is because, well, I guess he finally thought it was time to strike out on his own. He wanted to wash his hands of his connection to Umbrella forever. And I suppose in turn he was probably just going to continue his life as a mercenary until, eventually coming across the Resident Evil 5 Oswald Spencer thing where he finally learned the truth about his origins, where, are you saying that he was manufactured? Which, I mean, that entire scene in and of itself feels very, Devil May Cry in the instance where Dante confronts Nilo Angelo for the last time. Which, I mean, again, was probably intentional given the fact that Resident Evil 4 Stylish was meant to carry on a lot of the themes of that game, and given Virgil's look in the end of Devil May Cry 1, you cannot convince me that that was not meant to be Albert Wesker of some kind. But, again, I'll save that for the Devil May Cry commentary this October. Spookiness. But anyway, grab that key from the little skitterbug room and we get handgun parts, which we can give to Umbrella. How I knew the code before we even had the ability to access it is because previous playthroughs. I wrote the code down and I used it. But yeah, that's pretty much all she wrote. We're going to be jumping around a couple of other points around here. We also get some Magnum ammunition. Very useful, and yeah, a bit of a rare opportunity. The fact that easy mode does grant me is that because of the surplus in ammunition, I actually get to show off the Magnum more than what I otherwise usually would for Resident Evil games. So I suppose, if nothing else, there is some benefit to playing on this mode. It's just that everybody will make fun of me. It's like when you use an item in the Devil May Cry series, they just make fun of you. It's like, oh no, you had to use an item. Yes, a fine vintage, rather poor peasant. Doesn't know how to play the game. They didn't even know how to make games back then, but you know, whenever a zombie tries to wake up, you just shoot him down, and that's pretty much all she wrote. But yeah, I mean, again, if I didn't edit down this part, I probably would have been waffling on about pointless tangents that had nothing to do with anything, really. And, you know what, it's probably for the best. I mean, again, in your own playthroughs, you are going to have to go through the chaff of, you know, constantly dropping, picking up items, going back and forth, and I'd say that, apart from maybe one segment a little bit later on in the game, this is probably the absolute worst of it, but even still, without an item box, you can't exactly just carry all of your stuff, you know, as succinctly as you know, want to, but again, that's the risk you run with this game. It's probably the biggest drawback, and again, the fact that I've kind of been bringing it up constantly probably means that it is probably the one damning flaw that probably sinks Zero a little bit lower than some other games in the franchise, but it's not terrible. It's just, well, okay, I mean, I'm not going to say it's a minor flaw because it is probably my biggest bugbear with the game, but I don't know, if you're willing to push past that, then you are at least going to be in for a treat with the rest of the Resident Evil experience, treating you to, you know, typical Resident Evil stuff, and I was going up here for some reason. I guess because I forgot that the door was just over there, and I only realized mid-step. Because I'm stupid. But in any case, we can now finally access the water door. And access the last little bit of the facility, we can finally get all the stuff that we need, and after that we should be moving on to greener pastures, because, dear God, this mansion is drab. We should call in the decorators. But that'll be for next time, so on that note, I'm Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and next time on the Resident Evil 0 commentary, we explore the last bit of the mansion. Catch you next time.
For the final that you came here for. The one derivative you managed is the one I abhor. I need a minute to eliminate forever what the everyday bullshit that I did you.